Women are becoming the men they hate. Is it because we have grown with toxic relations with masculinity that we then grow to reflect that toxicity? Sometimes I ask myself why us women of today are so rigid in our discipline and routine, and why we don't embrace the chaos of femininity. And I got to thinking, we are starting to embody the masculinity that oppressed us instead of working to understand how the patriarchy and masculinity can be of service to us in our femininity. We've seen men go to war, be providers, and be rigid in it. No room for emotion, no room for companionship, just dictatorship. This oppressed the feminine's intellectual spark that feeds into her sensual and sexual connection. Because we had no voice, it silenced the creativity and awoke blind obedience and survival. Women of today have regained that power, but in the exact reflection of the energy that oppressed us in the first place. You are leading with your rigidness instead of chaos, meaning your spontaneity, creativity, and your intuition. You're leading with your head rather than your emotions and discernment. The thing we have toxic relations with is the very thing we have become. So, in this video, I wanted to talk about how us as women are starting to become the very thing that we hate, or the very thing that we feel oppressed by, or the very energy that we are trying to run away from. And in trying to run away from it, we are becoming it. If you want to talk femininity as a woman, and if you want to be feminine and embrace your femininity as a woman, you have to identify where the problem starts as to why you don't feel feminine, as to why you aren't in your feminine nature or in your feminine energy. And that starts with us. And I think us as women, we do tend to not take accountability for the reasons why we are where we are. And that's not to say that we weren't oppressed, and that's not to say that things didn't happen to us and traumas haven't created the society that we're in today and patriarchy isn't what we're living. But it is to say that, like I say to adults, after a certain point, you can't blame your parents for situations. You can't blame your parents for where you are in life. You have to now take accountability to make a change and to do better and to heal your traumas. It's the same with wanting to step into your femininity. If you, as a woman, do not feel connected to yourself and you feel like you aren't receiving the things that you want out of this life, including men, including a relationship, you have to start looking in the mirror as to why these things are not happening. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe there's something with me that needs to be fixed. Maybe there's something with me that needs to be corrected. And in this case, it's women becoming the men that they hate. One thing I wanted to put out there as a catalyst to your growth as a woman and as your starter to your curiosity as a woman is your sensual energy and your blockage within your sacral chakra. And the reason why I talk about that is because women have a very creative, sensual, intuitive, sexual, and free flowing nature. And that is stored within your sacral chakra, which is, I would say, near your womb area. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, but near your womb area. And I think that's where women hold a lot of their blockages, and that's where women store a lot of their traumas. But that is where women are giving themselves up the most. And when I say that, I mean in this day and age, there's this thing of taking back your power with being promiscuous, or taking back your power with allowing yourself to do whatever it is that you please with your body, because it's your body as a woman. And whilst I understand it, and I can understand and agree to the fact that it is your body as a woman, a lot of women don't understand the amount of trauma that is already stored in your womb and stored in that area, and then allowing somebody else's energy to be stored there on top of whatever it is that you're already holding, allowing multiple men, allowing different types of men, whoever it is, to have their energy stored within you, to have their DNA the rest within you, and you not know how that's going to affect you, is how we are becoming the things that we hate. We're trying to take back our power in the same way that they took our power. A lot of women have been sexually abused, physically abused by the hands of men, and that has traumatized women, and rightly so. That has traumatized women, and I think men hold a lot more weight in the woman's mind and in the woman's body than women like to acknowledge. And that's not to say that like a man is running through your mind and you're like centering men and you don't know how to decenter men and etc etc. That's just to say that at the hands of a man you experienced something very traumatic. At the hands of a man you experience something that I don't think anybody should experience. Not think, nobody should experience. And you haven't gotten over that. Instead, you promised to yourself that you would never allow that to happen to you to happen to you again. And if you're in a situation with a man, you're gonna put yourself forward to take control of that situation. And in taking control of that situation, you might be having sex with multiple men because it's your body and you're choosing to do what you want and not allowing a man to take that power from you. That's just one example. But in you doing that, I personally believe that that means that you haven't healed from what it is that you experienced. Instead, you are putting a guard up or placing a wall up and then storing trauma within your body. Recently, I've been doing a lot of research about trauma that is within the body. And the reason why I've been doing research about that is because if you've been following my story, I had a breakdown in relationship with my mum. So me and my mum don't really talk anymore, and I've had a breakdown in that relationship, and I have recently just had a really bad like cycle, very heavy, very uncomfortable, just very different to what I know my cycle is to be, because I'm very connected to the way my body is, so I know my cycles, I know my smells, I know everything. So this cycle was very, very different for me, and I had a lot of pain, and it wasn't just pain as in like cramping pain, it was like, you know, like if somebody touches you there, or if you get like a massage or whatever it is in that area, it makes me really emotional, and it makes me like just really, yeah, I would say just emotional. So I've been doing a lot of research on trauma that is stored in the body, because I know that trauma stores in the body. And the reason why I was doing research on that is because I feel like I have a lot of trauma that I haven't dealt with in the sense of my body. I might have been able to understand it and talk about it and learn from it, but a lot of it's been stored in my body, and I think my womb is where a lot of my trauma is stored. And I was doing research and going down this rabbit hole and realizing that no, it's not just my trauma that's stored there, it's also the traumas of my mother, and it's also the traumas of my grandmother, because it's a generational thing. The womb, and us mothers and women being able to give birth, that is literally a spiritual portal. So it can't just be only my trauma, because where I've come out of, where I've been born, and how I've been born is a spiritual portal. And the spiritual energy that was, I guess, surrounding me when I was in the womb, or surrounding me when I was giving birth, not when I was giving birth, when my mum was giving birth, is trauma that is now stored in my body, and from her mum, and from her mum. And do you get what I mean? So it's like there's a lot of traumas within my body that are not my own, but things that I have carried because of that spiritual portal. And then I do have my own traumas, because I said to my partner that when I had the relationship breakdown with my mum, it felt like I cut the cord, and it didn't feel like it to me. The cord is cut, but I didn't realize how deep that goes. If I say to somebody, I've cut the cord with my parents, I'm talking about the cord, like umbilical, like this is spiritual. And for me to say that, there's going to be some sort of baggage left in my body. And I'm exploring the trauma that's within my womb. I'm not sure exactly how I want to release the trauma or what I want to do. And I'm still doing my research on that. But that's why I bring it to this conversation, because there's women who have been sexually abused. There's women who have been raped. There's women who have been physically abused. There's women who have stayed with men who are physically, sexually abusing them, or sex trafficking them, or doing whatever they're doing because of the fact that they have nowhere else to go. You're in a very vulnerable state, and then you're being taken advantage of, and you're being abused, and you're being taken advantage of in the most sacred part of your body that holds trauma in the body. That trauma stays with you in your body, even if you think you've gotten over it, even if you think that you've spoken about it, and you haven't given your body the time or the space to heal from the things that have happened to you. So that's why I want to put out there for us women to look into healing our wombs, and look into connecting to that central and that sacral chakra, because that is where our spiritual portals are, and that is where you see a lot of trauma from generations, from mothers. That's where you see the trauma held. And in order for us women to actually step into our femininity and understand femininity as our own, we do have to heal the traumas from our mothers and our mothers' mothers, and our trauma and our experiences with men, and the ways in which we feel like we've let ourselves down. Because I know in a lot of these sexual experiences, and in a lot of these, I shouldn't say sexual experiences, but in a lot of these abusive situations, women hold a lot of shame for something that isn't theirs. You're holding shame for you being in a position that you should never have been in. Like, a man should never, it's never your fault. Let me put it like that. There's a lot of shame around women like having these situations, because sometimes in your mind it's like, oh well, I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I shouldn't have done this, or did I do this wrong, or did it? No, there's no shame for you to hold, and that's something that has to be let go of. And that shame, where do you think that is stored? It's stored in your womb. And that is why you can't have proper sexual experiences. That is why you aren't connected to yourself sensually. That is why you don't understand the intimacy in sex, and you only understand the physical pleasure, because you haven't unlocked the traumas that have stored in your body for years, because you probably didn't know that it was there. And you were focusing on taking back your power in the exact same way that the man took the power from you, in a forceful way, in a way where it's like, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, I'm just going to do what I want to do. It didn't matter what anybody else said to the man, he just did what he wanted to do to you. You're reflecting the exact same mindset as the people who oppressed you. You didn't deserve that oppression, you didn't deserve that abuse. And I say all of that to say that I don't feel like women are taking their power back. I feel like women are putting a guard up and saying, if a man can do it, I can do it too. And in this scenario, in this situation that I'm talking about, trying to do exactly what a man is doing doesn't allow you to be feminine. It doesn't allow you to rest in your feminine energy. It doesn't allow you to receive in your feminine energy. And when I say receive, I'm not talking about a man. I'm not talking about a relationship. I'm not talking about receiving from a man. I'm talking about receiving from the universe. I'm talking about receiving from God. You want these things out of life, you have to have the energy to receive it. And you can't have the energy to receive it in your rightful way as a woman if you're trying to reflect the energy of a man. How a man takes things from this world is not the same that as a woman receiving things from this world. You have to understand the power in your energy, and the power in what you hold, and the power in just you as a woman, and trust in that. A lot of the ways women say we are empowering each other in this generation, it doesn't really feel like empowering. It feels like a copy and paste of masculinity. And if we are all men, where is the space for a woman to be a woman? I just want us as women to have the confidence and have the strength to be able to dig deep into those traumas and what's stored in our bodies, and come together to find a way to heal it and to grow in it and to learn from it. Because, yeah, the way this generation and the way I see this generation of women going, or the way I just see the world in general of women going, it just doesn't feel like healing. It feels like, I'm gonna do what you're doing to me. It feels like, let me get my lick back. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I would say one thing I want to challenge everybody to do is do research on your womb and the trauma that can be stored in your womb as a woman, and write down a journal entry to yourself about your relationship with your mother. And if your relationship with your mother is an amazing one, that is amazing. Write down, maybe, if you know her story and what things she experienced, or what things her mother experienced, like, see if there's anything there. See if there's anything there. But yeah, love you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. This light is just really blocks the beauty of my face. Like, I know you guys just want to see me so bad. I'm joking. Okay, love you. Bye.